Is processor still the most important thing while you buy a smartphone in 2025? Or are there other factors to consider, or simply put, how to buy a perfect smartphone in 2025? The answer is this video, but with so many choices out there, it can be difficult to pick the smartphone that fits in with your requirements, the perfect smartphone. So today in this video, we are going to make that decision a whole lot easier, whether you're looking in the budget, mid-range, or a flagship phone. So if you're looking to buy a phone, you'll know what to do and what specs to look for. We are breaking down exactly what to look for in a smartphone at every price point. If you're planning to buy a smartphone in the next 12 months, listen up. I've got some really interesting and important stuff to share, so make sure you pay attention and stick around till the end. And don't forget to share this with your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that along with hitting the bell icon. Now, let's talk about what you shouldn't do and what you should do. First off, let's see what you shouldn't do. If you have a budget, stick to it. I will say this at the start of the video, but people will still do it. They say they want a phone for $15,000, but when they come across some deals for $18,000, $19,000, or even $20,000, they end up buying into these deals. You don't need to do that. There are good options in every price range now. Stick to your budget as much as you can. Sure, prices might shift a bit, but other than that, just stick to it. Also, guys, you don't need to upgrade your phone every 6 or 12 months. I'm not just saying this for you. There really isn't much difference in just 6 months or even a year. There's not going to be that much of a difference. So generally, try to use your phone for at least 2 years, like ideally up to 3 years. If you can stretch it to 4 or 5 years, that would be fantastic. Please don't upgrade your phone every 6 months, 12 months, or even a year. It's a global problem, and you're contributing to it. Just think about it. If you're changing your phone every 6 to 12 months, you're adding to the waste. So keep the environment in mind a bit. Even then, if you really want to change phones every couple of months or a year, please consider recycling or reselling the phone to others. It would significantly decrease the negative effects. Use your phone for as long as you can. If it's just a minor issue with your phone, don't rush to replace it. Sometimes it's better to repair your phone instead of rushing to buy a new one. And one more thing, these days, people tend to just jump on whatever is trending without thinking. For example, everyone's going crazy for the latest flagship phone just because it has the newest chipset. They don't consider anything else. So don't fall for the hype, trends, and flashy marketing. Take your time and check out the reviews before buying, and also wait for a couple updates before buying. Don't rush into buying the trend, because sometimes when the phone is still new to the market, there can be some issues in the phone. Sure, the companies rigorously test their phones, but still there can be some issues that might slip under the radar during testing. For example, sometimes a phone can get really hot during continuous usage or intense gaming, and after a month or two, a simple update fixes things right up. So generally, wait for some time after a launch of a phone and look at the reviews from any tech YouTubers and take the decision. Now, continuing the topic of the video, let's talk about design. The first thing that you notice after unboxing the phone is design. Now, this is one area. I would say it has seen big improvements in the budget segment. Phones like this, CMF Phone 1, or even this Realme Narzo 70 Pro, they cost around 15,000 to 20,000 rupees, and they have good and unique features. Build-wise, CMF gives great customization and one of the best UI with best user experience in my opinion. And Narzo has shiny glass back with curved display. I'll come to display specs in just a moment, but this curviness in the phones make it easy to hold and fun to watch videos in, and overall it feels premium. Good thing is the phones look very nice. I mean, see this Realme 12X, it looks like a premium phone. Now, the higher you go in price, the build starts to get better and better, going up to around 25 to 30,000. This is where you start to see extra features being added on phones, like the Nothing Phone 2A gives you a unique glyph light, or take this Moto Edge 50 Pro. It has vegan leather finish, so grippy to hold, plus you also get a metal frame. Now, if I move to the price like this, OnePlus 12R, or even this Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, only 2 features are added in build quality. One is glass back, and second is better glass protection, or IP rating. Other than this, the design of the phones may change from brand to brand, but the functional features of the build remain the same. Now it's your choice. How important is build quality to you? For me, 25 to 30,000 is my sweet spot for design, because at the end of the day, we all will just buy a case. Now, for a lot of us, our phones are our primary source of watching movies or YouTube, the display is an aspect that's very important to me because no matter what you do with the phone, you'll be always looking at it, right? And in that aspect, I would say there are a few things I would always recommend, like number 1, try to get an AMOLED screen. I know this is common knowledge by now, but let me demonstrate. This phone has LCD and this one has AMOLED. If I turn off the lights, see the blacks on the LCD look grey, whereas it is completely black on the AMOLED. So watching movies on an AMOLED display is always good. Plus you also get always on display, so that's a bonus. Number 2, ensure that the display is full HD+. Now the higher you go in price, the better the screen quality gets. Like on this expensive Vivo X100 Pro, you get support for 2K or even 4K displays on a smartphone. But honestly, in real life, it doesn't make that much noticeable difference. Hands down, 1080p is absolutely good. The amount of money you have to pay for that 2K and 4K display is not worth it, in my opinion. That being said, where resolution becomes crucial is when the size of the screen increases, because 1080p is enough for a small screen, and human eyes cannot differentiate between 1080p and 2K on a small screen. Maybe on a slightly larger screen like a fold or a tablet, 2K resolution is more than enough. The deciding factor here is pixel density, which is measured in ppi, pixels per inch, and number 3 would be refresh rate. Here, have a look side by side in slow motion. This is running 60 Hz, and this is on 120 Hz. See, the 120 Hz looks so smooth, so scrolling and all of that feels more fluid. Let any fruit company tell you anything, but it should be 90 or 120 Hz, and most phones like Motorola, iQOO, Nothing Realme, Samsung, all of them have these 3 features. Now, if you go higher like this OnePlus 12, you get something called LTPO display. So for example, see here, if you are scrolling the display, it is in 120 Hz. But when the phone is on idle not doing anything, the display comes back at 1 Hz. This is variable refresh rate and it saves battery life. It is a good to have feature, and coming to display's peak brightness, you can see the peak brightness in one area of the display. Generally, the typical brightness and HBM mode of the display matters most when you go outside in the sun. Check how the high brightness mode is. If the brightness is around 1500 to 1800 nits, it's well and good. Don't fall for the 4500 nits peak brightness claims. Yeah, reviewers or YouTubers mention those specs to you, because those are the specs they are sharing, but that doesn't mean you get 4500 nits peak brightness across the entire display. It's a marketing strategy, so high brightness mode and typical brightness are important criteria to look for. Now to explain camera. The quality of photos and videos taken from a phone doesn't solely depend on the megapixels of camera. Sensor and software processing also plays a huge part in the quality of images and videos of a phone. So while you're buying a phone, just don't be impressed by the megapixels of the camera. Take a look at what sensor does the phone have, low light performance, and how many colors is the phone able to reproduce. Colors can make the images look bright and vibrant or dull and gloomy. If you're into selfie videos or content creation, making reels, ensure the phone does 4K selfie video, and finally, depth camera and 2 megapixel macro camera is useless. Rather, having an ultra-wide angle lens or even a telephoto lens is better as a ground rule. From what I have noticed is under 20 to 25,000, you get one good main camera rest. Everything is below average under 30,000. You start seeing good main camera as well as good ultra-wide angle lens or telephoto lens, and then for good videos, you'll have to spend somewhere at least 40 to 50,000. Now, performance is a very interesting story here. Let me go one by one. At around 10,000 phones usually have a CPU that gets the job done. This Redmi 12, for example, can handle regular stuff like phone call, watching videos, casual subway surfer, and all is fine, but if you push it playing BGMI or even photo editing, it will struggle. At around 20 to 25,000, you will get good performance, but with a bargain. Like take this Poco X6 Pro for instance. For the price, the performance is off the charts. In game testing, you could play Genshin Impact very smoothly. Plus, this phone is tuned mainly for performance, so you also get extra features, like frame interpolation and all of that. However, all of this comes at a cost of mediocre camera. Around the 30-35 price point, you have 2 choices. On one hand, you can go all in on a performance-centric phone like this OnePlus Nord 4C, and Antutu scores are almost like a flagship phone, but then you will not get extra features. Or you have phones like the Moto Edge 50 Pro, performance is decent, and you get a lot of extra features like IP rating, wireless charging, excellent software. So in this range, you at least have an option. More performance or more features. Choice is yours. Beyond this, that is above 40,000, pick any phone, and chances are you will have a very good performance. That's because phone either has a A. Flagship chip, or B. Last year's flagship chip. And both of these are more than enough to play mobile games like BGMI, Genshin Impact, or even do video editing. And one more thing I observed is the trend. I am talking about is the trend among the consumers. Most of the consumers focus mainly on the chipsets and are highly likely to buy a phone with a newer chipset phone model than the older ones. And the companies know this too, and because of this behavior, the brands are launching phones where they're just rebranding the chipsets. I mean, they take a Snapdragon 695 and call it a 6S Gen 3, maybe tweak it a little bit and turn it into a 6 Plus Gen 1. And if we take MediaTek, they took the old Dimensity 800 and renamed it to 7050 or 7020. And you might think it's the latest chipset, but it's just a rebranded one. The capabilities are the same as before, so keep that in mind. You can follow me, or really any tech creator you like. They'll keep you updated. And also check for benchmark scores to know what the processor is capable of. About the RAM, these days brands are using a lot of gimmicks. You know about virtual RAM, right? It's one of those gimmicks. So, virtual RAM is meant to use your storage as RAM, but if your storage isn't fast, then that virtual RAM doesn't help at all. So if you have UFS 3 storage or something and your RAM is low, which usually doesn't happen, I would say 99% of the time, virtual RAM is just a gimmick. Don't fall for it. Now coming to software. Here, price doesn't matter. I would say there are two major sentiments we all must look for. First is the Android version, and second, years of update. As of 2025, all new phones, budget or expensive, should come with Android 14 or 15 right out of the box. Or, if you are planning to buy phone in second quarter of 2025, some flagship phones may even get Android 16, if the release which was rumored to be Q2 of 2025. Now when it comes to updates, story is different. See, this is Samsung, a 52S. This launched in 2021 with Android 11. Samsung promised 3 years of software update, and see, it is currently running on Android 14. So from experience and reviews, brands like Samsung, Google, OnePlus, they do deliver on their update promise. That being said, other brands like Motorola or Xiaomi, while they do promise the update, but they give it very late. And the second thing is when it comes to software is bloatware. Now I'll make it simple and straight for you if you want a clean, ad-free software experience. Go for phones like Nothing, Motorola, and of course Google. That is top tier. Then you have other brands like Samsung. They don't give you ads, but you do get a few first-party software. And then you have phones from Redmi, Realme, Vivo, iQOO. You get tons of third-party bloatware. See this Vivo X100 Pro. This is a flagship phone, and even this is ads. So to make things simple for you, regarding software, I will say that the phones with best softwares are Samsung, Google, Nothing, Motorola, and phones with good software are OnePlus and Xiaomi, and phones with less than ideal software are Vivo and Realme. And last, the biggest point, service center experience. So last year TechWiser did this video on smartphone service center experience, where they also go through the green line issue in OnePlus. Now service center experience is highly dependent on the area you live in, but you can check that video out. I have provided link to their video below. When we are talking about phones, how can we forget about the iPhone? We all love the older generations of iPhones because they're available at good prices and we all buy them. But let me tell you, do not buy the iPhone 11, phone 12, phone 13, or even phone 14. I know it sounds surprising, but they all have Lightning port. If you consider iPhone 15 series, it's better because you get all new features. And there are a couple of things that have become pretty standard now, like Type-C charging port. And because AI is coming in, the RAM has literally doubled across the board. Like, instead of getting 3 or 4 gigabytes, now you're looking at 6 or 8 gigabytes in the latest generation devices. So, seriously, skip the iPhone 14 and previous generations. Instead, you can go for iPhone 15 and above models. You also get to use features like Dynamic Island and all that in the latest iPhones. And I want to say one thing here. Can Apple please update the design of their phone? Like, from the past 4 to 5 years, we have been seeing the same old designs with slight camera position changes. Frankly, the design is getting old now. Comment down. Let me know what you think. Are you guys not bored of seeing the same iPhone design? And other than this, there are a few common things which I should mention. Almost all new phones in 2025 above 12,000 will be 5 gig, and most phones should easily last you 1 day of use on battery. Of course, there will be few exceptions with compact phones or flip phones. And yeah, those were the criterias and features you should look out for when buying a perfect smartphone in 2025. I have kept this video simple and practical for you guys. Let me know in the comment section, what is the most important thing thing you look for when you buy a smartphone? And was there anything I missed? If you liked the video, please like, share and subscribe and leave a comment and show your support, guys. It keeps me motivated to keep making any future videos, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.